Welcome to St. Augustine this evening, the Mike Davis Show. We got great guests with you. Levi Moore's here tonight. We got Amanda with us tonight. Yay. We have all kinds of fun stuff. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I'm just going to be honest with you. We sat down and looked at this. We're like, okay, what do you guys want to talk about? I've got a few stories that'll kind of get us started. We got a Vegas update, which I'm very excited to hear about because we have the official 904 Now gamer, actually the Mike Davis Show gamer that we're going to hear about, and Evan Moore. But yeah, we're gonna give you guys updated, and hopefully all of you are marked safe from the thunder and lightning because it was bad for the last hour.
Yeah.
When this storm rolled through my office, I looked out the window. I thought it was midnight.
Yeah.
I was like, holy cow. And then it really quickly wasn't midnight. And it was just flashes of lightning and stuff. So I hope everybody's safe. I know there's probably flooding out there and flooded streets and roads because that was a ton. I just want you to know the rumor that they'll start tomorrow on the morning show is it was raining cats and dogs. No, Haitians were not catching them. I just want you guys to know that. It was safe. We're all good.
Oh, yeah.
There goes our numbers. There it goes. But I will just tell you, it was bad. All right, we got to make some money for our show. We love our sponsors. Salomon Service is one of the sponsors. It's the premier place for personal training. They have both youth and adult training classes. They also have small group strength and fitness development classes, speed and agility development. If you've been injured, they can help you recover, get back on the court or the field in better shape. All their coaches are certified through the National Strength and Conditioning Association, and they have a state-of-the-art center with both indoor and outdoor turf areas. Give them a call today, 904-461-9945, or visit their website, solomonservices.com. Great place to go get in shape. Look, I've been kidding you guys all year long about getting in shape this year. Why? Just give it up. If you're not in shape this year, just start for next year. Get a head start for 2025.
Did you just give me permission to not lose weight this year?
Yes, I did. Do you like me more now?
A to Z offers free estimates, and they've been serving St. Johns County for over 20 years in the construction industry. A to Z offers painted metal roofs for saltwater area homes with warranties for up to 25 years. They offer shingle roofs with warranties for up to 50 years. They also install tile roofing, cedar shake shingles, designer roofing, and flat roof coverings. Recent job photos with material descriptions can be seen at A to Z Roofing and Waterproofing.com. Chuck McCone and his team will make sure that your roof is in good shape for the next one of these torrential rainstorms. Now, if you have a bad roof and you've got water in your house, I hope you called Brightway Insurance, the Casey agency. They opened their doors in 2008, and they have proudly stood by their customers through hurricanes, major floods, hail, and fires. Through these events, the agency has become a much-needed insurance resource in times of trouble and hardship. Honesty and integrity are the pillars of our core values, says owner Ashley Casey. They pride themselves on being insurance experts while developing strategies that help their clients meet their insurance needs. They truly enjoy the relationships that they have forged with you, St. Augustine. So for all of your insurance needs, Brightway Insurance, the Casey agency.
All right, Abear, Kresge & Associates, they're a full-service local CPA firm with a team of skilled professionals dedicated to providing top-level service in the areas of tax compliance, planning for businesses, individuals, estates, and trusts. They also can do audits, reviews, and other accounting services. And if you need a business valuation or forensic analysis and litigation support, just give them a call. Bill and Ken are great. They've got an amazing staff. 904-460-0747 or online at abearkresgecpa.com. Great folks, great longtime sponsors, original sponsors to this show. We love them. I work with them with one of our nonprofits. They're great.
Because of the weather, and because Troy has been educating everybody on the flappers, I wanted to know about the flapper situation with all this flooding. So I did find video of the flapper situation right now during the rainstorm.
I'm afraid to see what you're going to put up. I had a feeling.
I mean, they're working hard.
Levi does not even know what that is.
None of us do.
We're going to have to explain that to everybody under my age. And I don't even want to admit that I know what it is at 58.
You know what it is.
I know what it is. Flappers were they were girls that danced a type of dance in the 1920s, in the roaring 20s.
Yep.
Before the Great Depression era.
Yep.
I thought you were talking about mud flaps on the back of an 18-wheeler.
Said someone who played basketball in Palatka more than once.
Touche.
All right, so there's all kinds of things going on. First of all, the recovery fair. We had Epic on last night.
That was awesome.
What a great couple of late. I mean, they were just absolutely wonderful to have on the show.
They were fantastic.
The recovery fair is September the 28th from noon to 4 p.m. at the St. Augustine Classic Car Museum. There's discounted fee to get into the museum, so you can go do the tour. They've got entertainment. They've got 25 vendors that are going to be there. You can go, you can pick up information, you can call them back later, you can contact people while you're there. It's going to be a great event. I love what the speakers had to say. And coinciding with our torrential rainstorm today is the King Tide. So the King Tide goes on until the 22nd. My prediction is more torrential rain whenever you get there. Hey, thanks for getting back to me on the camera.
I'm getting there eventually.
Oh, so anyway, watch out for the King Tide. All right, Levi, the most exciting thing that has happened to us sports-wise is your brother playing gaming.
Yes.
Because we do not have football seasons anymore. They're almost canceled for the Jaguars. They're definitely canceled for the Seminoles. And Gator fans, sorry for you guys too. I saw a guy in the surf today wearing a Gator shirt, and he paddled by me, and I'm like, dude, I just want to give you props for wearing the colors. But I didn't want to tell him. I didn't want to get near him either. I was afraid something bad would happen. But all right, what happened in Vegas? I know it's supposed to stay there, but can you at least tell us this time?
All right, I will share the gaming stuff only. Everything else is going to stay there.
Awesome.
But so Evan played in the World Series of Warzone, aka Super Evan, who's our local gamer that is top ranked in the world. And basically, he had to go through 6 levels of elimination. Started with an open bracket worldwide, 100 million contestants, and he made it to the top 40, which got him the invite to Vegas. There was a $1 million prize pool that was spread out to the top 20 teams, and they didn't finish as well as they wanted, which would have been top 5, which is incredibly hard. They ended up in 13th. So 13th out of the top 40 teams. That puts him for the last 5 years, as far as this tournament goes, second place, second place, second place. Couldn't get to number 1 in the first 3 years. 19th and 13th. So not a bad average placement.
That's really awesome and amazing. And it's his off season now.
Now it's his off season.
Please tell him not to watch football. Unless he's a Vikings fan.
Well, he's a Georgia fan. He's a Georgia Bulldogs fan.
Oh, my God.
Which we almost lost to Kentucky.
You did almost lose. Are you a Georgia fan, too?
I am a Georgia fan.
Okay, you guys at least have a football season to watch. You guys can go. Andy will buy you breakfast for free at the diner if you just go in and tell him you're Georgia fans.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good to know.
sure he will. Andy's watching right now. Just don't tell him you know me, because I made a few derogatory comments on Monday about the Bulldogs. So
did you? What'd you say?
I can't remember, but it was, Amanda, was it that bad?
Evidently, I have no gauge for what is good and bad, so I can't answer that question.
Amanda says it's sports ball and she doesn't know what I was talking about.
I'm doing producery stuff.
You're doing the Emma concert series, which they have a big show coming up. Which we
Jimmy Jam sold all their ribs. Pickups on Saturday. If you bought your ribs, don't forget.
Great for Jimmy Jam. Congratulations. Great fundraiser for Jimmy Jam.
Absolutely.
So, that is amazing. You know what they're going to do this year at the diner? Because I'm going to tell the girls to do this. For like the horror show, they're going to put Andy in like a gator uniform. They'll take his picture and put like a gator uniform. That's going to be the horror show.
I think he's got to lose a bet for that.
I don't know about that. I'm going to talk to the girls. I'm going to talk to Cheryl about that. She can make it happen.
Oh, my word.
No, the ribs are going to be great. Ribs are going to be awesome. So you get Evan's got a little time off. Super Evan.
Little time off.
When does the season kick back in again?
So the new game comes out the end of this month, and then once they work out all the bugs, there's always bugs on a new release because everything's released digitally now. You don't go buy a hard copy. Once they work that out, they jump right back in. So they got about 2 weeks of downtime, and then it's right back into the juice.
Right back into the juice. When's the first tournament of the season?
To be determined. They don't really know yet, but I'm assuming it'll probably be mid-October.
Who runs this league?
Activision, the company that makes Call of Duty. Activision. It's not really a league. There's sponsors that come in and host tournaments. They are headed in the league direction. But as you know, as it's a newer industry, so there's a lot of, what's a nice way to say it? Unprofessionalism that has to be weeded out first.
Yeah, there's favoritism and unprofessionalism and all that.
There's cheating involved. Everyone's playing from home, and
Well, don't hire anybody from ABC to help because that won't solve the problem.
That is crazy.
So,
have you guys talked about that yet on any of the shows?
We're gonna a little bit today.
Okay.
Thanks to you reminding me.
About the whistleblower?
Well, we had that, and there's a few other things that happened. But Activision, what other games? Because Activision was around. They've been around a long time.
Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give me
the history.
3 game titles,
yes.
and you're going to tell me which one you think is the best game.
Okay.
Like, that has the most users.
All right.
Okay. They have
Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
They have Call of Duty.
Yes.
They have Candy Crush. And what's another one they have? They have, gosh, I can't think of another one. Those are their top 2. Which one do you think is their most?
Candy Crush.
By far.
100%.
So people in the gaming industry thought Microsoft acquired Activision last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was the largest tech acquisition in history, bigger than Twitter, bigger than the acquisition of Twitter.
Really?
Yep. It's $64 billion. And the Federal Trade Commission tried to veto it, saying that it was going to give Microsoft a monopoly.
Well, why would they need another monopoly? They already have so many.
Long story short, it went through this year. And the only reason they didn't care about any game title they had except Candy Crush. Candy Crush is on everyone's phone, apparently.
So I've
never played Candy Crush.
I'm going to give you the warning from watching really good programs and software get bought by the big guys. So there was a Weather Underground app that was phenomenal for years. It had some of the best weather information. The radar was always 5 or 10 minutes ahead of the Weather Channel radar.
It was great.
It was an absolutely phenomenal app. Hurricane season, it gave you so much background information, would link you to the archives. You could go look at, if there was a storm, September the 18th in the Gulf of Mexico, it would give you all the storms within 200 miles in September.
Right.
For 100 some years and tell you where they went. And you could look at all this kind of cool information. And then the Weather Channel bought them. And now they're marginal. And it's just so frustrating because they were a great app for the longest time and all the cool stuff is gone. The Weather Channel killed it. And now, I mean, I still don't go to the Weather Channel app, but it's just frustrating that you had a great app and it's like no more. So I hope that they don't make Candy Crush the focus of it and all this other stuff just gets ignored for a while.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I'm hoping for you.
I think the Weather Channel bought Weather Underground specifically so they could kill their competition.
Yeah.
I don't think they bought it to make it better. I think they saw it as a cheap investment in killing the competition.
Well, the good news about video games is that this year, the Saudi family, the Saudi prince family.
House of Saud.
The House of Saud, that's what we'll call them.
Yep.
They decided that they want to be involved in the industry now. So what they do, they went out and put a $30 million tournament together.
Yes.
Called it the World Cup of video games. 50 different titles. So 50 different game titles. And they are making it to where you have to have a license to play in it from now on. And they are going to be pushing video games heavily now.
All right. So observations, questions on this, and I know nothing. I'm just commenting off of this. I'm freestyling here.
Okay.
So one, I want to know which crown prince's kid or which crown prince really likes these games and is like playing them all the time. So we should buy this. And they're like, yeah, that's pocket change for us. And then the other burning question I have is, are women allowed to play?
Women are allowed to play.
Okay. Just a question. In the same room as men, or they have to be in a different room as men?
Same room. But
Amanda, you are laughing over there because you were thinking of that.
0 comments.
One of the perks of winning their tournament this year was you got to go to their house and have dinner with the princes.
That would be pretty cool.
Not for me. I would not want that prize. Thank you, though.
I'm trying to be polite.
I'm
not going to get the opportunity.
I think you would have a very different welcome than I would have.
The past...
Yeah, because I'm nice. I'm very nice. People like me, Amanda.
The past 2 years, there has been one female gamer that has qualified for the final World Series of Warzone.
Yes.
So, different girl last year than it was this year, but there has been a female competitor that has qualified.
So right now, my second favorite gamer behind Super Evan is her. Because I do want to see her win and get to go.
So listen, ladies, you don't only have to do OnlyFans. You can also stream video games.
And make money.
There's a market for it. There's actually a great niche market, which is key in the digital space.
Do you know how much money the last 3 years. We talked about this on Thursday. I know you were traveling and busy and stuff. The guy that started OnlyFans, his dividends the last 3 years have totaled combined for the 3 years, $1 billion.
Wow.
Which is insane.
Wow.
That's absolutely just ridiculous.
That's crazy.
I mean, and I'll guarantee you, as with all of these things, he's making the money. And I'm sure there are women on that site and men that are on that site that are making some pretty good money.
Oh, did you not see what the stat that just came out?
No.
Do you know who Corinna Poff is?
I have no idea.
She's
if Blake was here, he could tell us.
She's a social media influencer, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And she's a pretty big one. She's not the biggest, but she's pretty big.
Yep.
And however, she's the biggest female OnlyFans creator.
Yeah.
And she made more last year than every single NBA player's salary combined. Combined. We're talking LeBron James, Steph Curry, Jason Tatum.
You got to send me those stories for Thursday trivia.
All of them. She made more than all of them combined in 1 year.
Well, and Steph Curry.
And I think we've landed on why there aren't more gamers on Twitch that are female and they're doing OnlyFans instead.
Well, you do have a point.
One seems a little easier from the female perspective.
I don't know. I still think it's a bad idea to have that many images of yourself out there.
For sure.
And I think we haven't seen the repercussions of it yet.
I didn't say it was a good idea. I said it was easier.
I'm going to agree with you. So, yeah, it does seem to be easier.
Well, in other news, Mike and I are starting a foot finder. So.
Oh,
you've not seen my feet. It's not going to go over.
We're going to call it bro toes.
No.
I'm just kidding.
I can't wait to see how many subscribers you have.
Oh,
Troy will do it. Troy will do it.
More than you know.
I know.
More than you know.
Oh, yeah.
I have a friend I will not talk about on air, but more than you know. All right. So for those of you that want to have a surf update, the waves are really good this morning. It was just for whatever reason, it glassed off. It was supposed to be some onshore winds this morning, and we still have plenty of swell, and it was super fun. If you got out there this morning, you had a great time. If you didn't, you want to see what it looked like, go to bluesky.com or Surf Station and check out some of their photos because there's going to be some great photos. Dave McCree at Blue Sky does a phenomenal job of documenting these surf sessions, and always has great pictures. So,
does he ever take pictures of you?
Well, I saw him.
We need them for Bros.
I saw him on the beach. Yes, I've actually gotten some pictures taken of me by Dave, accidentally probably because he was looking for good surfers, and I just happened to be in the way. I've been in more background pictures than I've been in actual action shot pictures. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to look today because he was on the beach where I was surfing. Mm-hmm. Pretty sure I at least got one background. So just going for that. I was close to the action. I actually had a few decent waves today. So yes. Bro toes. Carrie Karkaba. All right. So big news. You guys know I'm a huge Gutfeld fan. Mm-hmm. Huge. It's the only show I still watch on Fox regularly. I don't watch anything else on Fox except Gutfeld. Tonight on Gutfeld at 10 o'clock, special guest, Donald J. Trump will be on Gutfeld.
Exciting.
So that should be really fun. I don't know how they're going to do it. I'm imagining he's going to call in. He's done some call-in before with other politicians. I doubt Trump is going to sit there for the entire hour, but it should be really interesting to see his conversation with Trump.
Yeah.
Be really fun.
I mean, that would be fun if he was in studio.
I would love it if he's in studio.
He's a little busy, and there's kind of a lot going on with all the things we're hearing about around his safety issues. So,
have you all talked about that yet?
We can talk about the event, the last assassination attempt, which was at his Mar-a-Lago golf course.
Yep.
We touched on it a little bit on Monday.
A little bit.
There's still information coming out. The assailant, interesting background.
Interesting. Very
interesting. How it's being described.
Interesting and questionable. Mm-hmm. Right. His son. There's a whole huge article, and I have it here. I will paraphrase the article and the interview. The son says his dad's a really good guy, and he would never do anything like this, and he's not that type of person. Then they ask him, well, when's the last time you talked to your dad? Well, I've been estranged from my dad for years. And I'm like, he's a really good guy.
He's such a great guy that you're still in contact with him, or, oh, no. He's such a great guy. You're not in contact.
Wonderful dad. I just haven't talked to him in years. We had a falling out. Is in paragraph 8, which to me
Should be at the top.
It should be at the top,
Yeah.
right? That's the son says, haven't talked to dad in a while, but I had no idea he would do something like this, right? That's how I would have written the story as a journalist.
Although it's not super noteworthy when a millennial or a Gen Z goes no contact with someone. That's not uncommon at this point. In this context, I think it's important information, but it's super common for people to go no contact these days.
No, we have friends who have lost touch with their children. They're in their 20s or 30s, and they kind of like went off and moved to another part of the country and have like ghosted their entire family. So yes, it is a common thing. It's unheard of in our generation, unless you wanted to get written out of a will and never invited back. But it's a different kind of time today. So.
Do you think this is a function of fewer people having wills of note?
I don't know. I think there's plenty of, this is going to be the greatest wealth transfer from the baby boomers to the next generation, because there's a lot of baby boomers. They've accumulated a lot of wealth in their lifetime and they have less kids. So baby boomers from the greatest generation, there might be 6 kids or 9 kids or 8 kids in the family, and you have a moderate amount of wealth divided by 8 or 9 or 6 or 5. Now you're taking a pretty good amount of wealth, maybe dividing it by 3.
I wouldn't call baby boomers the greatest generation.
No, the greatest generation is the one that fought World War II. Baby boomers came after them.
Okay.
So the greatest generation.
Why are they called the greatest generation?
Because they fought in World War II.
Yeah. It was coined by, was it Brokaw's book or one of those?
Brokaw's book, one of his
The
books about
Greatest
World War II.
Generation was the title of it, and it described the generation of 19, 20-year-olds that had survived the Great Depression and gone to face Nazism and fascism and communism in World War II, then answered the call again to fight Korea, and then many of them answered the call again to be leaders during Vietnam. So that was why they're called the Greatest Generation.
Yes. So the Greatest Generation, and when they came home from war, they had all these kids, which is a baby boom generation. So from 1946 until 1964, 65, somewhere in there. Because I'm right on the cusp.
The year before your birth year.
I'm 66, so 65, and then it becomes whatever the next generation was. I can't remember.
You're Gen X.
Gen X, thank you very much.
Because I'm right on the border of Gen
part of
X.
the X-Men, just like Deadpool right now.
Back to the comments.
We can so distract him.
No, he's focused. We're the distractible ones. I don't know if you noticed.
Back to the comment about the people in my generation and younger losing contact with their families and moving away. No contact. I think that is a planned psyop by the media. I think that it's pushed out by the global elites, and this is a rabbit hole that we can go down, and we don't have to.
Yeah.
But I think
if you believe the global elites are trying to divide and conquer civilizations so that they can take the power for themselves, then they have to break down the family. And it's one option to break down the family is to create such a divisive divide between the generations, between political factions, which frequently fall along generational lines as well. Then you can fracture the family from within, and then you have to do less from the outside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's been used in world wars throughout history. So, breaking down the family nucleus, and, it's so interesting, right? Because America as a whole is the only country in the world that I've been able to find research on where they promote people growing up to the age of 18, leaving the nest, buying their own home, not pooling resources as a family to survive. And I wonder if that's because the banks need that to happen. They sell the American dream. Like they're in the business of lending credit, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a family pooling resources and living in the same household like we do, like they are in every other country in the world, basically, then the banks lack a serious demographic that they can sell credit to because you don't need it. And that's interesting to me because I truly believe that that's happening in America and that it's one of the reasons that we're where we are now.
Yeah.
I agree that they're breaking down the nuclear family. There's a purpose and a reason for that because you don't have that connectivity. You talk to people that visit other places in the world. especially kind of like Indonesia and places like this, where the entire family lives together.
Yeah.
They live in a compound. So you have my generation, which would be the kind of the middle, and then you have the kids and the grandkids living there, but you also have the grandparents there.
Yep.
And the grandparents are an integral part of the family, and they're connected to and tied to and involved in. They're sharing their knowledge and their information,
and their wisdom, with
all
the
their
children.
wisdom, and that's the way it used to be. Now, granted, we have in America, we're a little different than the rest of the world because we travel all over our own country and we move to different places, but you still stayed close.
Yep.
Right. You still had that connectivity with family. Josh made a great comment. He said, honest, the topic is very interesting. I think my generation, his, also doesn't put up with the trauma that their parents caused them. My parents' generation were taught to love your family no matter what. We grew up where blood doesn't always mean family.
Yep.
And I think
Good
some of
comment,
that,
Josh.
it's a great comment, but it does go to that kind of breaking down of younger people saying, hey, I'm just not going to put up with this. It's so funny. The other day I was listening to a country song. I'd never heard it before. The title is, I Don't Like Half the People I Love. Yeah,
That definitely speaks to going no contact.
I don't like half the people I love, which I thought was hilarious. I was like, I don't know who came up with this song title for the guy, but it was all about family and, getting along with family and different things like that. But it is difficult. I mean, as you get older and you add more people into the family, it changes the dynamic.
Right.
I mean, sons and daughters go off and get married, and then they have that influence in their lives of their spouse and their spouse's family, and it does strain. It's not like when you're all little kids and you all do the same thing because you're told to do the same thing.
Right.
So, for what that's worth, I know your family has stayed together.
My family has stayed together. My parents have stayed together, but my dad's parents got divorced. My grandfather did fight in World War II. Came back with a lot of trauma as a result. And like we were talking about yesterday, mental health stigmatized even today, but it was hyper stigmatized back in the 50s. So the way he dealt with it was through alcohol. And so that led to a divorce for my dad's parents. And I don't know. So thinking of Josh's comments, the baby boomers' parents were the greatest generation. They came back with so much trauma from World War II, having seen some just absolutely unfathomable atrocities, and they didn't have resources to deal with it. I mean, the therapy revolution didn't really kick off until 70s and 80s in this country, I feel like. And so these people had to deal with all of that on their own. And yes, they had a ton of kids, and that's why we have the baby boomer generation. So we know one way they were dealing with trauma. But I feel like there's a lack of empathy for what our parents went through, and that has diminished through the generations. So I feel like there was a certain level of empathy that the baby boomers had for their greatest generation parents. Then the Gen Xers had slightly less empathy for the trauma that their parents were raised in, being raised by shell shock parents. And it's just gone down and down. And so now we have millennials and Zoomers whose parents arguably have been less traumatized as a generation than multitudes of generations before them, but there's less empathy for the trauma that those parents are going through.
Well, and how much I think a lot of the arguments today that families get into are arguments. You have this current young generation, and I love them. I think there are some great young people out there, and I think they're amazing. But they look at the world through a lens that didn't exist until 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and they cannot understand why the world was the way it was. Right? I mean, we grew up in a very, very different time, and I kind of remind them. I said, one day, I tell my own kids, one day. You're going to be judged by the lens of your children's world, and it is not going to look anything like what today's world looks like.
Right.
And you're going to be shocked by what they're appalled at, mad at that you did, and go, how could you have done this? Don't expect them to just roll right along with, because every generation is a little bit different than the generation from. It's almost like a little bit of a rebellion. Yeah. Right. You had this pretty conservative generation that went off to war in World War II. I think, the baby boomers were pretty conservative as well, but you had a pretty liberal college experience. You had all of this rioting and protesting when, they didn't want to they didn't want to fight in Vietnam. And I don't blame them. I don't know if I would have wanted to go to Vietnam, right? But you had this kind of generational thing. And then you had our generation comes along, and we were a little bit more conservative than that generation. We drove our professors crazy at college. They would look at us and go, we were in college in the 60s, and you people all like Ronald Reagan. We're like, yeah, we do. One of our professors finally said, we had all these revolutions. We had a political revolution and a sexual revolution and a counterculture revolution. You guys threw everything out except for the sexual revolution. Like, we're okay with that. And I mean, none of us were offended by any of the comments that was said. So, yeah.
But then your kids are having less sex than you guys did.
According to studies.
The amount of sex that young people are having is decreasing as the generations go, which is interesting.
I think we should ask our young person expert, Levi. No,
He's got a girlfriend.
We don't want to go there. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Well, the sex thing is because porn is so much more accessible now, which is a huge issue. Mm-hmm. It's destroying young men. Yeah. Specifically that class right there, young men. Yeah. And it's desensitizing them to situations. Mm-hmm. It's now you can have a AI girlfriend that'll talk to you and tell you everything you want to hear. Mm-hmm. And
I'd never cheat on you.
And
unless you program it to.
And for people that are lonely and are sitting behind a keyboard all day long and lack the social skills, it's giving them a sense of love that isn't real. Yeah. So it's a big issue.
And there's no rejection there. But if you go out in the real world and you say hello to somebody, you could 100% get rejected.
You're probably going to get rejected 30 times out of...
But rejection builds character.
29 times out of 30 that you ask. It does.
And there was a great video the other day, and I could probably dig through and find it because I kept it, but it was how young men are being destroyed today by online dating.
Yes.
Right? Yes. So you have to go through 100 people to get 5 people that tell you they'll have coffee with you. But only one of them will show up.
But only if you're over 6 feet tall. And because so I have a couple of men that I'm friends with, people in my family that are under 6 feet tall. And them on dating apps, it's immediately takes it down to a tiny percentage of women that will even consider talking to them because in their bio, do not message me if you're under 6 feet. And that's ridiculous. So that just immediately...
Congratulations to you, Mr. Over 6 feet.
I already got a girlfriend. I'm good.
I hear. Well, of course you do.
I've been married for 35 years, but it would nice to know that I'm marketable, but apparently I'm not.
My girlfriend...
Not on dating apps.
Now I'm really nervous if Darcy finds out this information.
I had to work for 2 years to secure my relationship. Mm-hmm. I was denied by my current girlfriend for 2 straight years. Was put in the friend zone. She dated other people. And I just quietly waited in the background. It had nothing to do with me being 6 feet tall because the people that she dated in the meantime were shorter than me, under 6 feet.
Yeah.
So, it's the whole thing is messed up now because you have apps like Tinder and Bumble and Hinge where it's like swiping through a magazine, right? Yeah. They're scrolling right, left, right, left, right, left. And it gives women this false perception of they see social media. They're like, oh, well, this celebrity is dating this guy, and I want a man that's making 6 figures a year, runs his own business, is over 6 feet tall, is in great shape, because that's what their feed is feeding them. The algorithm is feeding them that because that's what they look at on their feed. And so it gives them a false reality. That's less than 1% of men in the world. You're like talking 0.1% of men in the world are making... $250,000, are over 6 feet tall, are chiseled like Ben Affleck. Like that's not a reality. Yeah. So it's all these things in technology that have come together that have turned us into what is going on in the dating world today.
Yeah. But what you're selling in that is you're selling, hey, if you marry this person, you get all this wealth and you get the houses and all this other stuff that normally in the old days you had to work to get there. You started out with nothing. You started out struggling. And in that struggle, you worked on your relationship and you became closer to get through those tough times.
100%.
It's almost like the dating app is promising you, we're going to give you an app and an experience and you're going to meet a guy and you don't ever have to go through tough times. Well, how do you grow in a relationship? How do you fall deeper in love if you don't have to struggle together to achieve your goals? So you sit down and go, we want to go there. And to get there, we're both going to have to sacrifice to get that done. And I think that's one of the things that kids are missing today. My wife calls it grit, right? They need that grit, that stick-to-itiveness to say, you know what, this is tough. I'm going to stick through it. I'm going to fight through it until I get to where I want to be. And if you're with somebody else, when you get there together, oh my gosh, it's such a great journey, right?
Yeah.
You look back on it, I don't really want to do that again, but it was great that we did it together and we became closer together.
Right. And you're going to say something?
Well, I was just going to throw out apps. Dating apps are a business. They only make money if you stay on the app. So they have no incentive to feed you a match that's going to lead to marriage, because then 2 customers are off the app. So they have an incentive to feed you just good enough matches to keep you hopeful. And this is part of what my education was. I could have worked for these apps because reinforcement schedules are a science. And so they're giving you so is Vegas, by the way. I could have worked for casinos in Vegas. But reinforcement schedules are designed to reinforce you just enough to keep you hopeful, so you stay at the gambling machine, so you stay on the apps, but never give you the reward, the payout, or string out the payout long enough that they can keep you in your seat. So this is a science, and people that have my background, my education, are sitting at these tables doing the math. There's actual math on how you can break down these reinforcement schedules to keep people on the couch watching TV, keep people scrolling on social media apps, keep people at the gambling machines, and keep people on these dating apps sad and alone.
Yep.
It's their business model.
And here's the other caveat at the end of this at the end of the tunnel. If you're a young, pretty girl, right, you're naturally pretty, and you come across one of these, we'll call them 1% men, you come across one of the top tier 1% men, these guys are on yachts in Monaco, they're flying on private jets, they have their picking of whatever women they want. Yeah. They're not loyal to one woman.
Yeah.
They're if you want to talk about those guys that have built that life for themselves alone, and then you want to find one that is also carries family values and is loyal, you're talking, less than 1%
unicorn.
of 1%. A unicorn, exactly. So, what I would say to people that are struggling in the relationship world is go out and talk to people. Get rejected. Don't be scared. That's going to build character. That's going to build resolve in you. And it's also going to translate into other aspects of your life as well, not just dating.
Yeah, and Amanda touched on it. We've talked about it a lot because I read an article a long time ago about one of these apps, and I can't remember if it was Tinder or one of the ones like that. But the guy said, yeah, we just went back to the pigeon in the dot test. I don't know if you remember this. Amanda, I'm sure, from psychology. There was a test where there was a dot. The pigeon's supposed to peck the dot. So the researchers, if the pigeon pecks the dot and it gets food, right, the pigeon will peck the dot again. If the pigeon pecks the dot and every time food came out, it only pecked the dot when it needed food. If it pecked the dot and nothing came out, quit pecking the dot. If you wanted to sit there all day long and peck the dot, food came out at intermittent levels. 5 pecks,
again, 1 pellet. Random number generator.
One pellet. 12 pecks, 1 pellet. The pigeon never left the dot. It sat there the entire time pegging, and that is exactly the model that all of these companies have used. They can listen to every damn thing we say, right? I mean, if you're riding down the road and you go, I wonder if there's food near us, the next thing that pops up is a restaurant near you, right?
Yep.
But if you go on one of these dating apps, to Amanda's point about keeping them on the app, you could fill out, I like blondes, I like people that are athletic, whatever, right? They're not going to show you that. That's going to be like every 9th or 10th image that you get to see. But they can tell you exactly what store to go to. They can listen to every message that we have and talk about, boy, I'd like to go on a surf trip. And the next thing I'm going to see in an Instagram feed is a surf trip to Bali. Yep. So, it's the craziest thing.
Random piece of trivia, that pigeon dot test.
Yes.
That was in the early stages of using that research for the first guided missiles.
The first guided missiles.
The first guided missiles.
Why was it used in the first guided missiles? I got to hear.
Because in World War II, we needed missiles that we could drop from planes that would only hit the target. We wanted to minimize collateral damage.
Yes.
Right? So you can train a pigeon to identify a particular rooftop. You can train them to tap on the glass on that rooftop. You can make that glass pressure sensitive so that the missile adjusts to keep that rooftop in the center dot. So they would tap on the rooftop to keep it in the center dot of the plate glass so that they'd get the reinforcement all the time that missile is dropping. So they were just in the testing phase of it. They had hypothesized it. They had built the rigs, the whole thing. They were testing it. They never got operational before World War II ended.
What a genius
that
way
would have
to
been
end
the
the
first
pigeon problem in big cities.
Right?
Those were the first guided missiles
We're going
in
to
testing
save
before
democracy
computers.
Wow.
and get rid of the pigeon problem at the same time.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Other thing that happened, which we kind of got to get to, is what Israel did to Hezbollah in Lebanon the last 2 days. So yesterday it was pagers blowing up. Today it was walkie-talkies blowing up. So I kind of dug into this story. There is an article from the Right Scoop, which will tell you I'll go a lot of places looking for stuff. But according to this article, the Israelis intercepted pagers that were manufactured in Taiwan and being sent to Hezbollah, intercepted them, took them apart, put a small explosive in it with a trigger when they sent a message, and then let them continue on. Because Hezbollah knows that the Israelis have infiltrated all the cell phone networks that they use. So they can't make a cell call. So they had gone to pagers to send information. The Israelis find out they're using pagers and then plant bombs in the pagers and then set them off. And today it was apparently walkie-talkies as well.
Holy cow.
Which is quite the interesting. I don't know who came up with the idea. We talked about it before the show and kind of show prep. I think it's the second Kingsman, where Samuel L. Jackson was a billionaire. One. Was it the first one?
The first one, yep.
Okay. All right. And he was blowing everybody up.
Yeah,
they're blowing up their cell phone.
So in order to be part of his cult, you had to have the thing put in your neck. It was a tracking device, they claimed. And then they were using it. If you were going to deviate from the plan, they would just get rid of you.
Yep.
And in the, spoiler alert, but in the end of Kingsman, they get a hold of it and they just press the button to get rid of everyone that was part of that cult.
Isn't the whole scene like everyone's heads exploding?
Yeah, and it's playing like this like this classical music, and everyone's heads are blowing up around them while they're in the bunker that's supposed to keep them safe.
Our pets' heads are falling off.
What they did with the cell phones was they used the cell phones that from his thing, we'll call them, for lack of a better term, Huawei cell phones. You guys don't know what Huawei is. It's actually crazy. But they were using the cell phone signal to make everyone go crazy and kill each other.
Yeah. So it was, it's interesting we kind of had that because the boys did a whole worse thing of blowing people's heads up. I don't know if you ever watched the series The Boys.
Yeah, it's
disturbing at times.
It should be X-rated.
It is disturbing at times. Yes. I get through like 3 or 4 episodes. I'm like, okay, I'm hopeful that it's not going to be disturbing. And then it's disturbing, and I gotta like put it down for like months.
Yeah.
For months to get the images out of me. And then I'm like, I'm gonna skip an episode and I'll pick up here because I don't want to see that redone again.
It's so funny about that. Quick story about The Boys. When it first launched, right? It's an Amazon show.
Love the first season.
Amazon owns Twitch, right? So Twitch is very, you gotta be very careful about what you say on Twitch. You can get banned.
Yep.
So Amazon had the idea that they were going to partner with Twitch streamers to promote The Boys. And so the biggest Twitch streamers in the world, like Nick Merckx, Tim the Tatman, Ninja, biggest names in gaming, biggest names on Twitch, watched episode 1 on their streams. And they have kids as their audience. So Amazon, I don't know how they missed this and didn't do the research on their own show that they released.
No, you cannot put that in front of children.
And the clips of the streamers watching it and then turning it off 5 minutes in, one after the other, they're like, I can't watch this. I can't watch this. And then they're telling their friends who hadn't caught up with the news yet to go watch it on their stream. And they're like, oh my God, and they're turning it off. Yeah. It made ripples throughout the Twitch community.
No. Dude, that's terrible.
No,
I just heard that Weird Al Yankovic was offered a sponsorship from a beer company and he turned it down because his fans skewed younger and he didn't want to promote drinking to them. And then we've got Amazon like telling Twitch streamers with 13-year-old audiences
To watch The Boys.
Watch this horrifically graphic show.
Oh, it's graphic.
We're wild times.
The very first scene of the first season, the guy runs through a civilian and he, like, his teeth are flying. Like, it's very grotesque and detailed. It's horrific.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about something lighter?
No, we're good. Well, we got off on this because of the Kingsman, which I thought was at times was a decent movie.
I got a
and at
cookie
times
story.
awful. Give me the cookie story. Straighten this out.
Well, we talked about the bakery in Pennsylvania, Lachelle's Bakery, who have had the red and blue cookies.
For forever.
Well, they've done it for a few years. They're a relatively new business. They've been doing it since 2020. 2020. They credit this for saving their business, surviving the 2020 lockdowns and slow business. So they say that they wouldn't exist without these red and blue political polls cookies.
Yeah.
And they say that this is just for fun and there's nothing scientific about it. They're receiving a lot of hate, which really sucks.
It's stupid.
So in previous years, I feel like it might have been a little more accurate to reality, but
if it was
now
just the hometown, yeah. If it's just the hometown and people around there buying it and it's just there, but now you can order stuff online.
You can order stuff online, but also only one side is sharing this because the headlines for it are so hilarious.
Yes.
For one side versus the other. So I've got the tally. They do Tally Tuesdays. I've been following them on social media to follow up.
Because the election is
story.
on Tuesday, so Tally Tuesday would be a great
So it's Tally Tuesdays. And so I've got the latest tally, and it's 8,209 red cookies to 580 blue cookies.
Well, first of all, I don't think that the left is allowed to eat cookies anymore. I think it's probably bad for you and there's sugar in it and all this other stuff that you're not allowed to eat. I mean, if they were a vegan cookie, then they got a shot at it.
Well, they do say on their website that this is not an allergen-free bakery. And so
Is there a chance that there's peanuts in these cookies? I'm just trying to get all the way through this.
If they were a non-binary cookie, they'd be allowed to eat them.
Yes.
No comment. So we've got a map of where they've been shipping these cookies because they keep selling out.
Yes.
So Donald Trump has shared this bakery and the cookie tallies on his social media. It went viral in conservative media. So we know that it's disproportionately Trump purchasers.
It's no longer an accurate sampling of how people might vote in Pennsylvania. It's now just people wanting to pad the score.
But a lot of people are using it as an opportunity to help a random small business. And it's kind of a gag. And so it's being shipped out all over the country. I mean, it's not to 50 states yet, but it's in the 40s. And so this is a tally per shipment. So not per cookie. This isn't the number of cookies. It's the number of shipments that have gone out. And so it looks almost entirely red. But then you zoom in on Pennsylvania and you see there's 8 shipments in Pennsylvania. California's got 3. Nevada's got 1. The blue doesn't stand out very well. And there aren't as many for sure. But
what's the state with the most red cookie deliveries?
Pennsylvania, because it's a Pennsylvania bakery. But outside of Pennsylvania, I haven't counted them, but it looks like California and Florida are giving each other a run for the money.
With red?
With red cookies. California.
That's some desperate Californians that just want hope.
I mean,
they're not buying cookies out there. They're buying hope, Amanda.
Well, this goes back to the Electoral College discussion that we had, that the Electoral College preserves the voice of those that are in the minority. Look at that. There are 3 shipments of Kamala cookies to California. And there's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 48 shipments of Trump cookies to California. If you're looking at that
ruins my theory that there's only 5 Republicans left in California.
Well, that's
most of them in Darcy's family, by the way.
That's what we were saying about the Electoral College on Thursday and how I don't remember if that was on air or off air in discussions, but we were talking about how the Electoral College preserves the voice of the minority. But I mean, it doesn't within states. There's a lot of conservatives in California, but there are very large cities in California and cities almost unanimously vote blue. And so the farmers, the more conservative people that are living in California don't really have much of a voice.
No, they do not. But it'll be interesting to see where the cookie thing goes.
Yeah.
I think
Tuesdays, I got it.
I think it'll be wildly successful for the bakery.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to take some grief, but I mean that's the kind of thing that frustrates me both on people on the left and the right. If somebody's making money at this and they're employing people, just roll with it a little bit, right? It's just a cookie. It's just people selling cookies.
Well,
Quit
it's not
making
just
it
the
everything.
bakery. It's actually having a ripple effect in the small town.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't a large town in Pennsylvania. It's a small town. And so people are going out of their way for weekend trips that are within driving distance for a weekend trip. And they're staying at bed and breakfasts and hotels in the small town. They were talking about the nails that people are getting done in the nail salons, getting a manicure because they're on vacation when they're there. The diners that they're eating at, they're doing touristy stuff in these towns. So it's really bolstering the economy of this small town. And so they keep saying in their comments, like, if you're talking trash, we're going to block you because we're just trying to survive as a small business. And we're just excited about the boon that this is causing for our small town and the people that are having accelerated business in this tiny little town. And I think it's really cool. I wish people would stop ragging on them for it.
All right, we have a man on the street update.
All right.
Josh sent us information. Yesterday in Palatka at the bridge, about 40 people were holding signs, honk for Harris. 5 p.m. traffic when he went by.
Yeah.
According to Josh, when he went by, no one honked. No one. Now, I have news for the 40 people in Palatka that are Harris fans. That might be the entire club, right? That might be everybody in a very conservative area of a state. St. Johns County, kind of the same way. Now, if those people had gone to California, like in LA, I guarantee you the horns would have been honking.
Oh, yeah.
Unless they were Waymos, which wouldn't honk the horn when they went by because they're driverless, but yes. So it just all
Not
depends.
according to the cookie
It
poll.
all depends on where you're at when you do these things. I don't think this is a Harris opportunity. So
Well, I think everyone inclined to honk for Harris was already holding a sign that said honk for
yes,
Harris.
correct. They should have had one person just make a loop around trying to encourage other people to honk. So
Yeah.
I would love to see the video, but
That's probably like a tip jar. You got to get it started.
I
Have a couple of plants to get it started.
I don't know, but that some tip jars are sympathy tip jars. That would have been a sympathy honk, and apparently there was none.
Yeah.
All right, so again tonight, 10 o'clock, Gutfeld. Trump is supposed to be on. So if you're a Gutfeld fan, I'm a huge Gutfeld fan. One day he's going to be as popular as Davies' afternoon show. We're hoping for that, but he should be on with Trump tonight. And then BJ did make a comment about back in the sections about finding her Harley Davidson guy, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
Because back then you had to have other ways to find people, right? There was no Twitter and there was no email and there was no. I mean, I laugh about this. All this stuff that is driving people nuts today and rewiring kids' brains is only 20 years old.
Yeah.
It's not that old, right?
But that's the thing.
It's really 17 years. The first iPhone came out when my son Reese was 13. He's now 30. It's 17 years. And to me, there are certain things that I love to do on my phone as far as traveling. When you're going places, it's great. It's awesome. A lot of the crap that's on, I have so many apps that are preloaded on there that I've never opened, never looked at, don't ever intend to. They don't function for me.
I have a file on my phone that just says junk because there are some apps that Apple puts on your phone that you can't take off. Yeah. But you can put them in a file. And so I sequester them in a junk file that I never look at.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing about my generation being a millennial is I was born in the year 1990. And so I remember a time before everyone had a computer, before the internet, before cell phones were an everyday occurrence. And our generation, my generation, has grown up with technology. And we've seen technology is an interesting revolution because it compounds on itself, because the better the technology get, the more that technology helps you advance quicker. And so we're headed towards a singularity event. If you look at it, we're headed towards a singularity event. Do you know what that is?
It's terrifying.
Yes, go ahead. I'm going to give you an explanation of that afterwards, but go ahead.
I'm just saying that's like, it's exponentially headed that direction. And just since AI has become a mainstream topic since September of last year when ChatGPT was first released to the public, it's already exponentially entered the workforce. Google just announced that their Google Mind is now integrated on YouTube for creators to use in short form content. That came out yesterday.
Yeah.
So we are headed in a direction where we don't know where we're headed. And Elon actually was the first person that did an emergency meeting with the UN to talk about slowing down AI. And they just blew him off. And he implored them to slow it down.
So Michael Crichton talked about this in a different way, not a singularity event, but he talked about the chaos theory in the Jurassic Park book. It didn't make the movie, but it was in the book. It was a great explanation in the book, right? So everyone thinks that chaos to order is a linear equation. It's a line. You move down this line. What Crichton said is, no, it's a circle with a little gap at the top that's erased. And as you leave chaos and you become a more ordered society, when you get to something that's so dependent upon phones and AI and electricity and all this other stuff, people think, well, if you just take one thing out of there, you're just going to slide back a little bit. He says, no, you jump the gap from order to chaos. So that singularity event you're talking about would literally throw us from order to chaos.
Right.
And it's not like, oh, well, we'll be able to recover from this in a couple of days. My example of that is what happened 4 years ago, right? What we were dealing with 4 years ago. And that didn't take us, it's like, oh, well, we just need a couple of weeks off to recover from this. We struggled with our economy for 2.5, 3 years because of that 2-week break. It shattered and just broke all kinds of things. It wasn't like, oh yeah, it's just a little break. It messed up everything. It took supply chains years to recover. Some of them are just now recovering. It changed the workforce. It changed where people live. It changed so many things. And that was one of those events that when it hit us, you're like, oh, we'll just make some minor adjustments. There were major adjustments.
The financial markets haven't recovered. 80% of the money that's in circulation was printed during that period of time.
Yep.
And you know, it's inflated the dollar so bad now that, I mean, look at the inflation under the Biden-Harris campaign. It's at a point where we can't reel it back in.
No.
So for people that think inflation's going to go down, it's not going to go down. Like the amount of money out there is going to stay the same. Now, can we slow it down? Yes, we can slow down the rate, but it's never going to return. Like, I mean, I'm
going to pay $12 for Cheerios for the rest of my life?
Yes.
I gave them up, by the way. I don't eat Cheerios. But
good. You should give up cereal. Cereal is a scam.
Really bad. All right. Tomorrow night's show. Those of you that are avid viewers, we love you. Troy has something that he has to take care of and may or may not be back here by 5 o'clock. I have to meet with one of our state elected officials who wants to tour Veterans Village for Home Again St. John's, of which I'm on the board. So that meeting, because that's when the state official can be there, is at 5. So we're going to be doing a late start. It'll probably be an abbreviated show. The Bollocks boys will be here. Amanda will be here. So if you tune us in tomorrow at 5, we're not going to be here. But we're going to come on at some random time. We'll give you guys updates, and we appreciate you hanging in. I got some great questions for tomorrow. So,
have you worked this out with the great and powerful Pete Melfi and the Bollocks boys?
Not yet, but it's not Thursday yet. I'm a guy. There's plenty of time to get this done. In fact, if we get it done at 4:45 tomorrow, we're still got plenty of time. Don't you know that's how guys do things?
This is why you never watch the ending of the movie The Women. This reason, right now.
And there are other guys out there that go, oh, Mike, I completely understand. You had 7 days to call me, but don't sweat it. It's okay. We'll take care of it. That's how guys work. Levi, am I exaggerating?
Nope, not at all.
I'm not. It's the greatest thing to watch my wife have to call somebody and ask for a favor. It's a 45-minute conversation to catch up with her friend, followed by the ask at the end that she's all worried about asking. I call Levi up. I haven't seen him in 5 years. Levi, can you take me to the airport next week? It's a simple yes, no.
Yep.
Yes, great. I got a ride to the airport. I'm going to get to catch up with Levi. No, Levi had something else to do. I'm not mad at him. I'll talk to him in another year or two and it'll all be fine.
Yep.
Levi doesn't go, oh my gosh, Mike hasn't talked to me in 5 years. Like, he must have really needed a ride. I'm glad he called, right?
Yep.
It's just the guy's way of looking at stuff. It'll all be fine. It'll all work out.
Patriarchy.
My girlfriend.
It's just our system. We do not complain about your system. We're glad we're not a part of it.
My girlfriend complains about my system because she tells me I don't get enough information. She starts asking questions, and I'm like, I didn't ask him that.
That is legit. That is 100% confirmed, and not with that relationship, but with my relationship. My husband will drop some bomb of information that he heard about, and I'll start asking follow-up questions, and there's zero information. Ugh, so annoying.
Guys are simple.
So follow up on that. For years, I would come home and say, so-and-so had a baby. And Darcy would say, what was it? I don't remember. They had a baby. They're healthy. The wife's healthy. The baby's healthy. Everybody's fine. Check the box for Mike's most important things, right? Darcy, what's the name? Not just part of the name, the full name. What's the weight? What's the length? What time was it born? How much longer are they going to be in the hospital? I said, you're friends with the wife, right? I said, you're going to call her to congratulate her, right? All that information will be available to you during that conversation. It's not a conversation that I need to have. Healthy, fine, good, check.
You know how that conversation starts with Darcy and her friend? She's going to say, Mike told me nothing. Give me the information.
Exactly.
My husband does the same thing, will be the next thing, and then you have something in common. The other great one was golf. If you're a dude and you come back from golf and your girlfriend or wife says, what did you talk about? What club to use next? You play golf for 4 hours and that's all you talked about? Yeah, pretty much what club to use next, right?
Yep.
There might have been a little bit of talk in there. There was probably some good ribbon in there. There were some inappropriate jokes in there, which I'm not going to tell you. So, yeah, what club to use? That was pretty much it. That's how we roll.
Spot on.
I'm not lying to you. There's a great comedian who said his buddy, they're working out in the gym, right? And he comes home and tells his wife, hey, my buddy is getting a divorce. Well, what happened? Who did what? I don't know. He asked me to spot him on the bench press. I walked over. He said, by the way, I'm getting a divorce. I said, cool. 8 reps or 10. And we moved on. I spotted him and that was the end of it. If he wants to tell me more, he'll call me later and tell me more.
Yes.
Guys just work at a different level.
Yes.
Simpler level.
Yes. It works for us, Amanda.
I didn't say it was better or worse. I just said it's frustrating.
We love Louis. I now know Louis is a real man, and I am all for Louis. All right. Again, late start tomorrow because of a couple of conflicts, but we will be here. Levi, thanks for coming in.
Yep.
Thanks for taking the time to go all the way to Vegas to give us the Vegas report.
I got y'all.
I know you had other stuff to do that weekend, but thank you for going out there.
You're welcome.
All right, Amanda, I'll see you at some point in time tomorrow.
At some point.
Tune into the morning show.
Bye.
And the afternoon show.
We're on call.